Hey, I'm Chef Troy Ellis and welcome to my kitchen. And today we're talking biscuits, buttermilk biscuits. I love biscuits. Growing up, I used to love them for dinner, for lunch, but today we're going to do it for breakfast. So we're going to make a beautiful buttermilk thyme biscuit with a blackberry balsamic jam. Almost like a compote, because we're not going to use masonry jars and do the normal jamming process, but we're going to use our stovetop with a pot and make a delicious, sweet and tangy jam to go on top of our biscuits. So let's go. Okay, so now we're going to make our biscuit dough. So what I have here is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a little baking powder, baking soda, about a teaspoon of sugar, and a little bit of fresh thyme. I love thyme with a lot of different things, but when I first made this recipe, I was like, something needs to be different, something to kick it up a little bit. So fresh herbs always do it for me. So now I'm just going to simply just incorporate this with our spatula here, just to get it all incorporated. There we go. Now it's time to cut in our butter. So as you can see, I've added 2 sticks of butter in here that I've cubed. One thing to remember when you're making biscuits is that you want your butter to be cold, because when you put your butter with your flour and it combines, you don't want this to start melting, because that's what happens. You get the nice flakiness to your biscuits because of the cold butter, and when they start to rise and they're baking, that butter it releases, and you have nice buttery flaky layers in your biscuit. So I'm gonna finish adding the butter, and this is the messy part. They have butter cutters where you can actually cut butter into the dough, but hey, I'm a chef, so I like to use my hands. So I'm gonna go in here, and what you want to do is basically take this cold butter and combine it with the flour, and what will end up happening is it'll look like cornmeal. So you'll have like little granules of flour and butter together as you continue to incorporate this with your hands. This is something, if you're making it at home, that you can get your kids to do. They'll love putting their hands in this flour and butter and just getting all messy. Then, like I say, you just keep doing it. It'll seem like it's a lot of butter, but it really isn't. It makes the biscuits taste that much better. So we have our dough combined with our flour here combined with our butter. So I'm gonna add a little bit of buttermilk to this. And what you want is a nice, almost like a sticky type of dough. So I've added our buttermilk here and have all-purpose flour on the table. And the reason why I have all-purpose flour on the table is so that I can work with the dough, because it's a little sticky, and flour allows you to work with the dough much more easily. Working with biscuits, I have a rule of thumb. It's called the four knead rule. Basically, I only knead the dough 4 times, because when you're working with biscuits, if you over knead the dough, they become tough and dry. And we want flaky, light biscuits. So now that our dough has been combined with our buttermilk, as you can see, it's sticky now, I'm gonna take it and put it over here in our flour. Get the rest of it out. And like I said, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a 4 knead process. And what we want to do is so we got 1, 2, 3. Make sure we get a 4, and that's it. 4 kneads, and we're done. And that's our biscuit dough right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up, and then we're gonna roll this out to about 1 inch thick piece of dough, and then we use a biscuit cutter to cut them out. And then we'll get ready to work on our blackberry balsamic jam. Now that we have our dough on our floured surface, got my rolling pin here, and also the same way we apply the flour to our table, we do the same thing on rolling pin, so that our rolling pin doesn't stick to our dough. And all we want to do is just get this into about a 1 inch thick piece. Like I said, you don't want to do that. It's okay if you see it, start to break apart. That means that's the flakiness we want between the dough and the butter. There we have it. About a 1 inch piece of dough. We'll start cutting biscuits. Okay, so we got a biscuit cutter. This is pretty big. I like big biscuits. We have our sheet tray here. So what we're gonna do is just start cutting our biscuits and putting them on our sheet tray. So we have our biscuits here that we've cut. I'm going to let these rest for a second, and then what I'm going to do is get ready to start on our blackberry jam. Alright, so what you can see right here is we have our crushed blackberries, in our saucepan right here. These were fresh blackberries that I just crushed up with basically a made up contraption of one bowl blackberries and another bowl, just crushing them up. So I got them going on low fire. To that, I'm going to add about a half a cup of sugar, 1 cinnamon stick, a little bit of peach schnapps. We'll take it off the flame, safety first. And then a little bit of lemon zest. The lemon zest gives a nice little brightness, nice little flavor of acidity. It'll complement the thyme in the biscuits very well. And we'll just let this come together. 15-20 minutes, we'll be good to go. All right, our jam is reduced nicely. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of our balsamic vinegar. The measurements will be on my blog, so don't worry about getting them. I just love the acidity and the flavor of balsamic vinegar. It is so versatile. You can use it on salads. You can use it with fruit. As you can see, you can use it in jams. I've seen it used in desserts, so I just absolutely love it. All right, let this reduce a little bit more. Check on our biscuits, and we should be ready to go. All right, so finished taking our biscuits. They come out beautifully. You see it. You can see with the flakiness and the cracks. It means the butter and flour have come together. You see the little brownness on top. So what we're gonna do is let these cool for a little bit, and then we're gonna slice them and add our jam to them. All right, we took our biscuits out the oven. Our jam is done. So I'll slice one of the biscuits and I'll put it on a plate. So what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of our jam and just spoon it on top like so. Then I'm gonna take a few fresh blueberries, blackberries, to garnish our plate. And put the top on it. And then what I like to do is just add a little bit of the dew around the plate. Like so. And then you have buttermilk thyme biscuit with a blackberry and balsamic jam. This recipe and all my recipes can be found on my blog at troystaste.blogspot.com. If you have any catering and personal chef needs, you can contact me on my website at www.troystaste.com. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you next time where we dive into breakfast.